Song Shi Wei's highly anticipated graduation road trip to the breathtaking rugged landscapes of Tibet takes a sudden and terrifying turn when severe altitude sickness violently strikes her behind the wheel. Gasping desperately for air, her vision blurring as the cold world fades to black, she deliriously hallucinates that the Grim Reaper has sent a breathtakingly handsome man to escort her to the afterlife. But the comforting warmth she feels is no illusion. She slowly bears awake in a rustic, cozy guest house, realizing she has been rescued from the brink of death by the ruggedly handsome local, Jiang Zhang Qing. After a brief, breathless introduction where their eyes lock for the first time, Shi Wei learns her enigmatic savior's name and immediately sets her sights on a thrilling new target. With the sharp, calculated precision of a seasoned hunter spotting her ultimate prize, Shi Wei decides that this mysterious, stoic man is exactly what she wants, and she simply refuses to leave without him. To ensure she has a foolproof, undeniable excuse to stay in town, she secretly tracks down the local mechanic and shamelessly bribes him with triple the pay to deliberately delay fixing her broken-down car. Is it hard to tell? I want to pursue you. Playing her cards aggressively, she boldly demands that Jiang Qing act as her personal tour guide, a request he flatly and coldly rejects without a second thought. Undeterred by his icy exterior and blatant rejection, Shi Wei uses her undeniable charm to manipulate the innkeeper into booking her into the room right next to his, perfectly setting the stage for her grand seduction. Under the heavy, intoxicating cover of night, she feigns deep intoxication, cornering him in the dimly lit hallway with a magnetic, undeniable physical tension that leaves him completely trapped against the wall. "Why don't you just push me away?" Though he manages to escape her intoxicating grasp and retreat to the safety of his room, Shi Wei smirks victoriously in the dark, realizing his stoic, monk-like facade is finally beginning to crack. The next morning, radiating pure confidence, she brags to her father on the phone that she won't be returning home anytime soon because she has found a dangerously handsome man to conquer. Pushing boundaries to the absolute limit, she sneaks into his empty bed while he is out for a morning run, wrapping herself in his scent and waiting for his return. But just as the atmosphere thickens with unspoken desire upon his return, Jiang Qing's demeanor violently shifts, retreating behind an impenetrable icy wall of indifference that leaves her bewildered. Despite the suffocating awkwardness lingering between them, his deep-seated protective instincts override his frustration, and he reluctantly agrees to drive her to the scenic mountains. During the tension-filled ride, Shi Wei is utterly shocked to discover that Jiang Qing isn't just a clueless local. He had secretly memorized her personal details from her car registration on the very first day. "My real purpose is to soak you." To push his buttons even further and test his ironclad restraint, Shi Wei marches into a local convenience store and provocatively demands to buy out their entire stock of condoms. "My desire to sleep with you is as clear as heaven and earth." However, the playful, electric dynamic shatters into a million pieces when Jiang Qing overhears Shi Wei aggressively screaming at a man on the phone, instantly assuming it's an ex-boyfriend she's still stringing along. "Miss Song, please take care of the relationships around you first. And I just want to sleep with you. What does this have to do with other people? Don't assume everyone is like you." Stung by his harsh, unforgiving judgment and his sudden, angry departure from her room, a heartbroken Shi Wei wakes up early the next morning, deciding to explore the mountain entirely alone. The guest house staff watch her lonely departure, gossiping in hushed tones about the obvious, bitter rift between the once inseparable pair who seemed destined for each other. While Shi Wei is trying to take photos by herself, masking her lingering sadness, a cheerful, handsome stranger suddenly steps into her camera frame, eagerly offering to assist her. The newcomer, Lu Boyu, immediately turns on the charm with his loud, flirtatious banter, leaving us wondering if Shi Wei will use him to make Jiang Qing dangerously jealous, or if a chaotic new love triangle is about to ignite. The story resumes with a fresh, youthful energy entering the dynamic as a bright-eyed student named Lu Boyu introduces himself, completely unaware of the intense romantic crossfire he is about to step into. With an innocent smile and a camera in hand, Boyu boldly invites Shi Wei to join him, effortlessly slipping into the role of her personal photographer and tour guide. Shi Wei finds herself enjoying the harmless attention, yet a strange, sudden chill runs down her spine, making her feel as though she is committing some grave betrayal. From a distance, Jianjin watches the unfolding scene with a dark, simmering intensity. His jaw clenched as onlookers point out how effortlessly Shi Wei attracts male attention. Sensing the thick, suffocating tension radiating from Jianjin, Shi Wei turns to him with a teasing smirk, deliberately poking at his bruised ego to see just how far he will go. "You just said yesterday you wanted to sleep with me. Today, we have absolutely no connection. Then why did you seduce me? Shi Wei, what do you take me for? Pushed to his absolute limit by her nonchalant attitude toward the younger boy, Jiang Zhang corners her, his voice dripping with a dangerous mix of frustration and undeniable desire. Shi Wei refuses to back down, weaponizing Boya's sweet and attentive nature to deliberately provoke Jiang Zhang, testing the boundaries of his possessive streak. When I am around, it can only be me. The morning after a night of shifting boundaries, Jiang Zhang lays down his ultimate condition, demanding absolute exclusivity with a fierce, unwavering gaze that leaves no room for negotiation. Yielding to his overwhelming presence, Shi Wei playfully but sincerely agrees to his terms, sealing a silent pact that binds them together for the remainder of their journey. As they settle into a bizarre domestic routine, Jiang Zhang gleefully uses her drunken confessions against her, washing her clothes while teasing her about her hidden desires. The fragile peace is shattered when Boyu suddenly reappears at a local shop, offering new milk tea flavors and completely disrupting Jiang Zhang's carefully established territory. During a tense, incredibly awkward hot pot dinner, Boyu goes out of his way to pamper Shi Wei, blowing on her food and acting the part of the perfect, attentive younger partner. Unable to stomach the blatant flirting any longer, Jiang Zhang delivers a thinly veiled, icy warning to the younger boy, making it crystal clear who truly holds Shi Wei's attention. Recognizing defeat but maintaining his pride, Boyu finally bids Shi Wei a bittersweet farewell, leaving the battlefield to the older, far more dangerous man. With the rival gone, Shi Wei's curiosity shifts to the enigmatic man beside her, wondering what deep, unresolved trauma compels Jiang Zhang to endlessly drive this treacherous, unforgiving mountain route. The narrative takes a sudden, dark turn when Shi Wei receives sickening news about Xiao Xinshu, her former mentor and a highly respected art president who has just been released on bail. When you know that faith has completely collapsed. What does it look like? He humiliated me for being promiscuous. It completely collapsed at that moment. Trembling with a mixture of profound grief and boiling rage, Shi Wei confesses the horrific truth of Xiao's attempted assault, her voice breaking as she recounts how her childhood idol became her worst nightmare. He was sent to prison step by step. Why can't I? Refusing to be a silent victim any longer, Shi Wei meticulously orchestrates a devastating online exposure, scheduling the release of her evidence to perfectly sabotage Xiao's highly publicized interview. The trap springs flawlessly as reporters mercilessly ambush Xiao on live television, using Shi Wei's real name accusation to tear down his carefully constructed facade of artistic nobility. Shi Wei, you madman! Behind the scenes, Jiang Zhang acts as her ultimate shield, mobilizing his vast resources to annihilate Xiao's hired internet trolls and ensuring Shi Wei's voice echoes across the entire nation. Warned by his associates that Shi Wei might just be using him for his power, Jiang Zhang dismisses the concerns entirely, utterly consumed by his devotion and willing to be used if it means keeping her by his side. With the first major victory secured against her abuser, a heavy weight lifts from Shi Wei's shoulders, and she looks forward to continuing their breathtaking journey through the highlands. But nature has other plans, as breaking news reports a catastrophic landslide on their exact intended route, violently halting their romantic escape and bringing a sudden, ominous dread. Jiang Jingjing, wake up. You have a fever. I won't leave. I will never leave. The sheer terror of the news triggers a catastrophic physical and mental collapse in Jiang Zhang, sending him into a violent, delirious fever where he thrashes against invisible ghosts of his past. The landslide prevented me from rescuing them. It's because he lost someone important to him here. Why did I have to survive? Holding his trembling, sweat-soaked body, Shi Wei finally learns the harrowing truth. Jiang Zhan's older brother and younger sister were crushed to death in a landslide on this very road, leaving him shattered by survivor's guilt. With infinite tenderness, Shi Wei strokes his hair, softly assuring the broken man that his relentless crusade to save stranded travelers on this highway has made his fallen siblings incredibly proud. Amidst the heavy emotional aftermath, a tiny, shivering stray puppy wanders into their shelter, a fragile manifestation of life that desperately needs saving from the unforgiving storm. They take the helpless creature in, and as Shi Wei affectionately feeds it, a beautiful, domestic warmth blossoms between them, momentarily washing away the grief and darkness of the past days. Under a canopy of brilliant, untouched stars, Shi Wei turns to Jiang Zhang, urging him to stop living solely for the dead and to finally start driving this road for his own salvation. Surrounded by the quiet majesty of the mountains and the crackling warmth of the fire, Shi Wei is overcome by an undeniable, profound affection, leading to a deeply emotional and desperate kiss. Forgetting is Ender's The romantic illusion shatters the next morning when Shi Wei experiences sudden, terrifying nausea, instantly sparking a panic that their careless passion might have resulted in an unplanned pregnancy. Do not have children within 3 years of marriage. This is my 5-year plan. I really want to have a future with you. Terrified of losing her hard-fought independence and her artistic dreams, Shi Wei brutally shuts down Jianjin's heartfelt plea for a shared future, hiding behind her rigid 5-year career plan. The unbearable tension snaps when Shi Wei realizes it was merely a false alarm, but the emotional damage of their confrontation lingers heavily in the cold morning air. It was really hard to be rejected by you. I genuinely like and admire you from the bottom of my heart. Refusing to be pushed away, Jianjin swallows his pride and his pain, agreeing to step back into the casual, undefined boundaries she demands, just to ensure he doesn't lose her completely. As their epic, transformative journey finally draws to a close, Shi Wei looks out at the passing landscape, her heart aching with a profound, unspoken reluctance to leave this man and this wild freedom behind. Back in the suffocating reality of the city, Shi Wei is immediately thrust into a vicious corporate and family dispute, fiercely defending her autonomy against those who seek to control her destiny. Refusing to be a pawn in anyone's game, she violently rejects an arranged business marriage, proving that the fire she found in the mountains has permanently altered her spirit. Meanwhile, Jianjin faces his own grueling trials, returning to a ruthless family empire where vicious rumors accuse him of orchestrating his siblings' deaths to seize ultimate power. Standing before his grieving parents with a jar of soil collected from the crash site, Jianjin finally makes peace with his ghosts, vowing to honor their memory by living fully rather than merely surviving. Realizing that she needs to truly find herself before she can commit to another, Shi Wei makes the agonizing decision to leave the country, accepting an overseas apprenticeship with a master oil painter. Armed with the unwavering support of her family, Shi Wei boards a plane, leaving behind the unresolved tension with Jianjin to chase the artistic greatness she has always been destined for. Time flows relentlessly, and a year later, Shi Wei stands triumphant on an international stage, the flashing cameras illuminating her as she accepts a highly prestigious portrait award. I have been in front of the easel for a full 20 years. We don't need to follow other people's schedules. Take one step at a time and move forward. With quiet, unshakable confidence, she silences her critics and malicious reporters, revealing that her masterpiece, titled Crane, is a deeply personal reflection of the man who saved her soul. The breath is completely knocked out of her lungs when she walks into the VIP lounge and locks eyes with Jianjin, who has silently orchestrated his position as the exhibition's primary sponsor just to see her again. But he didn't send me a single text message all year. Remember, you provoked me first. Just tell me whether you agreed or not. I miss you so much. Stripping away all his immense wealth and power, Jianjin looks at her with raw, agonizing vulnerability, laying his heart bare and asking for the one thing his money can never buy. He meticulously lists every logical, emotional, and practical reason why they are perfect for each other, his voice trembling slightly with the sheer desperation of a man making his final plea. Overwhelmed by the intensity of his devotion and the suddenness of his return, Shi Wei begs for time to process her feelings, terrified of losing control of her carefully structured life once again. Retreating to the safety of her hotel room, she frantically calls her best friend, her voice a chaotic mix of absolute joy, lingering fear, and undeniable, overwhelming love. If everything is under control, what kind of love is that? I filled in, darling. The answer is Jane Zhang. Let's date. Surrendering entirely to the beautiful, terrifying chaos of true love, Shi Wei finally accepts him, throwing her arms around his neck as they share a desperate, soul-shaking kiss that bridges a year of agonizing separation. But just as they finally find their hard-won peace in each other's arms, a ringing phone shatters the silence, and a voice on the other end drops a bombshell that threatens to tear their world apart all over again. As the chaotic dust of their past conflicts finally begins to settle, a gentle and long-awaited wave of peace washes over our protagonists, reminding them of the profound warmth that comes from having someone who genuinely cares about their well-being. Amidst this newfound tranquility, amusing news circulates among the group that Lu Jiaz is stepping into a heavily arranged engagement, providing a stark and somewhat ironic contrast to the organic, deeply genuine romance blooming between our main couple. The lingering mystery of a deeply cherished note is beautifully unraveled, revealing its true identity as a delicate jasang flower, A profound and ancient symbol meant exclusively to be gifted to the person your heart desires most. We will not separate. You are indispensable to me. Taking a massive and definitive step forward in their blossoming relationship, Jiang Zhang Qing proudly and nervously introduces Shi Wei to his family, marking a significant milestone in their shared journey. The atmosphere is filled with joy as his parents are instantly charmed by her undeniable beauty, grace, and humility, welcoming her into their fold with wide, approving smiles and open arms. This heartwarming family gathering unexpectedly opens golden doors for her professional career as she humbly and excitedly accepts a potential collaboration opportunity with the highly renowned and respected designer Shen Xia. However, the comforting tranquility of their lives is violently shattered when a desperate, terrified 18-year-old girl named Tong Xiao frantically reaches out to Shi Wei from the shadows of the internet. A horrifying and sickening truth emerges from the young girl's trembling lips. The sinister and manipulative Xiao Xingxu has subjected her to severe psychological abuse, ultimately resulting in an unwanted pregnancy. Xiao Xingxing is trying to force me to abort the child. I will definitely help you. Armed with the young victim's secret, damning audio recordings of Xiao arrogantly bragging about ruthlessly suppressing his past victims, Shi Wei realizes they finally possess the concrete, irrefutable evidence needed to destroy the monster once and for all. Realizing that the walls of justice are rapidly closing in on him, a desperate, cornered, and completely unhinged Xiao Xingxu manages to escape custody, transforming into a lethal threat hunting them down. I'll send you on your way first. Sister Shi Wei. Sister Shi Wei. A brutal, heart-stopping vehicular assault orchestrated by the madman leaves Shi Wei severely injured, suffering from a severe concussion and multiple painful fractures, though by a sheer miraculous stroke of luck, her life is ultimately spared. Swiftly captured and dragged back into the cold grip of the law, the cowardly Xiao Xingxiu pathetically attempts to feign intermittent mental illness, desperately hoping to manipulate the system and escape the cold, hard bars of prison. You don't need to act anymore. Confronting her tormentor one last time within the sterile, unforgiving walls of the prison, Shi Wei stands tall, unbroken, and fiercely defiant against his pathetic, venomous curses and empty threats of supernatural revenge. Go to jail and atone for your sins. This court hereby pronounces the death sentence.